Okay, guys, we're here today with no agenda. There's no agenda here except for supporting each other and being what I call unapologetically compassionate. Unapologetically compassionate. And I was telling Pesha that I've been studying for Spirata Omer, all these different kind of like spiritual ideas. And something that really resonated with me that I'll kick us off with was this idea that chesed and gvura, you have to be uncompromisingly loving and compassionate to yourself. And because you're so unlovingly and compassionate to yourself, to really be specific in what that means, you need gvura, you need discipline. You need to come back and say,
I think she went to
okay,
pick
I
up
want to
the
eat
feminine
plated
health.
because I deserve it, because I'm worthy, because, you know, I deserve better. And I want better for myself. So it's coming from this place of unconditional love. And then you say, okay, but this didn't feel good and I deserve to feel good. So I just muted everybody because of the background noise, but feel free to unmute. And I want to go around and give everyone a chance to say something that if you're open to it, something that you're really uncompromisingly, unconditionally proud of yourself about, and what your plan is for this week. One thing that you're going to focus on from the to be mindset. It could be water is number first. It could be veggies most. It could be, you know what, I haven't been tracking. I want to get back to tracking. Whatever it is, I'd love to hear from you guys where you're coming from and how we can support you this week, whether it's something you want to vent about and kind of like get off your chest, or something you want to just cement out loud. I want support. I want accountability on this. So who wants to go first? Anybody want to go first and share where you are, how things are going? Vida, was that you?
Yeah, yes. Okay. Okay, ask me a question.
Something you're proud of and something you're going to focus on this week.
Okay, I am proud that I really did stick to veggies. I mean, cut up vegetables the night before and enough to made so much cut up carrots. And I have to confess, my husband helped. And then the next day, and it was Yantif, and I realized I didn't make enough for him. So I had to take my carrots that I cooked, that he cut up for me, and I cooked them and we shared them. But it meant that they weren't my cut carrots anymore. They were my side dish. But that's okay. It's okay. It's just that I have to keep things and everything in mind, you know, have to keep the kids in mind, family, you know, I have to cook for everybody else too. He cut up vegetables, but he kind of assumed that I was going to do everything else. But I kind of forgot. I just was so set on my vegetables. Okay, that, and I got turkey and chicken and protein, fine, water, fine. I thought everything was under control until we got to the meal and realized, oh, it's good you can cook on Yantif because I've got to cook these carrots. But anyway, so that worked out pretty well. And as far as future, I just have this one phrase, get back to the program. And specifically, I would say water. That I kind of lost track. I had 3 separate bottles regularly of just regular store-bought water bottles that were 1 liter each. And for Pesach, I just bought 1 more, but I kept refilling that one and I didn't really stay as on track as I usually am. So that's
good. Uncompromisingly, compassionate. Okay, so I didn't stay as track, and now I'm going to refocus on water. Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. Guys, it's totally normal. I would say the one thing I'm most proud of is that I stuck to water. And for me, it's looking ahead and being like, I still have another week of more treats coming my way and more events and more things. And like, figuring out what's the one thing I want to focus on. I don't even have an answer to my own question. I will by the end of the call, that I promise. I'll answer. But if you don't know right now what it is you want to focus on, that's okay. take a minute and we can help you figure out what it is, because I don't know. Like, I get scared sometimes. I'm like, ooh, do I want to say tracking? I could say tracking, but gosh, that's a big commitment. Do I want to say the scale? I haven't had a scale in 10 days where I am, but there'll be a scale where I'm going, right? Do I want, I've do veggies, but have I been veggies most, or have I been veggies a lot, right? It's going through and saying, what's the one thing I'm really willing to say yes to? Like, no matter what, I love myself enough, I'm willing to say yes. So for Vita, it was water. Sabrina said that she is really proud that she got up today, she weighed herself, and she's been so off track, and she had a fantastic day because it's nighttime for her, and she was 100% on track. That's amazing. If you can share, what was the one thing that really, was it getting on the scale that got you back in a positive mindset? Was it checking in with the group? You checked it with the group, you shared your workout, and you've been using the community throughout the Chag. What was it, the one thing for you that really helped you to, in a positive way, get back on to taking such good care of yourself? Oh, then we can't hear you. You're nursing? Maybe she can't talk. Let's see. Okay, who wants to go next? Oh, you're really upset that your tracker is finished and you think it's a matter of the Chag ending and back to reality. Okay, great. Do you know how to get another tracker? You know, you can order, I think you ordered them, right? They just haven't come yet. Kids. You can order more trackers on Beachbody. You can also get them printed at your local printer. And if anybody doesn't have access to the PDF to get them printed, they didn't come this way yet. So I would definitely print some more out in the meantime, just to hold you over, and you can have them made into a little, a little binder. Charlotte, hi.
Hi. Oh, I was so itching to talk.
Yay.
I struggled a lot in Pesach, and more because there was no structure. Like, I'm a sucker for all forms of structure, and bless her soul and heart, Yoni, my beautiful coach, got corona, and our group was very quiet. So it was like, granted, everyone was busy and whatever else, but she sent a meme, or whatever they're called, because I'm not high tech, and it just said, okay, so we've had a few days off now, let's get back on track. And it just hit a chord for me that I was like, well, if I'm like uncomfortable because I've eaten that much, if I'm like not liking it, why am I not putting myself back on the track? Like, it was already like Tuesday, and we already had like another Chag coming, and it was barbecue after barbecue, and 4 kids running around, and everybody else's kids running around, and family time and everything. And I really, like, one of the days I made my own little pot, and I took it with me with my protein, with my carbs, by this. I sat at barbecues, filled my plate with salads. Like, by that day, that those words that she sent, like, she was probably laying in bed like snotty and everything, and she just sent this one thing that really struck this chord, that was like, that's it, boom, it's back on. But I did struggle a lot with tracking. It was like, by the end of the day, it's always my weakness, tracking. Water, fine. Food, always fine. Too much of it, but whatever. But the tracking for me, it just gets in the way all the time. Like, you finish your whole day, I don't track as on the go, because I also write manually in a diary for clients or whatever. So for an extra thing for me to do, it's just not there. So today I put my tracker on the table, so it's always in eye view, and I put my pen there ready, and I've told the kids if that goes missing, then I'm going to make a necklace out of all the heads. No, not really. But the tracking for me it's a burden all the time. The tracking is a burden. Like, I'll advise something would just be, I don't know, digital something. I mean, the one that I've tried, it's crap.
Do you want a recommendation? Something that I've seen work for some people who have a similar, like, I don't think she's on the call, but I have a client who is a psychologist. And so she has to take notes after each client. And also She felt very similarly, like, it was very frustrating to have another thing to take notes on for some reason. Like, it really irked her. So what she started doing was, she has a WhatsApp, 2B WhatsApp with herself that's just for her tracking. And she does voice notes, because a voice note is like 2 seconds. This is what I ate. And then at the end of the day, it's not a big deal to write it down. But she didn't want to take pictures. She felt like, I'm not 16, I'm not taking pictures of my food. Like, which does work for a lot of people. A lot of people really like taking pictures and going back later. But a voice note to yourself in a special WhatsApp, that's just for, and that's really helpful also. If you're still struggling with, like, the grabbing a raisinette here and there, or the grabbing the single chip off people's plates, a voice note is a great way to stop and acknowledge to yourself that you're doing it. And it also helps you, again, from that place of unconditional love and chesed,
Right.
put in that discipline and be like, I deserve better because I love myself. I deserve better.
Right. Right. Well, listen, that's also something, like, I feel like when it's hag time or whatever, there isn't time for yourself, because you've got all of, usually I'm not speaking for everybody who's maybe somebody who doesn't have kids, but if it's not kids, it's family. If it's not hag, it's Shabbat. If it's not Shabbat, it's hag, you know? And Pesach is one of those times that we barely eat out, everything's homemade. And it's like, it does become like a second thing, the unconditional love, the thinking of yourself, it does become a second thing. There was one more thing that Yoni sent, and it was a real good one. I wanted everybody to hear, and I've got to think what it said, but it was a good one. Oh, it was also, yeah, once it's coming, it's nearly there. Oh, right, don't buy the stuff, because like during Pesach, I felt like it was a free-for-all. You know, if you can't make something, so you'll buy something, and everything that's shop bought. I don't really buy shop bought stuff. It's not like I'm not into processed and whatever else. We all have to do it some occasion. But it said, if you can't control yourself, oh bloody hell, I've forgotten the line. If you can't control like something that you buy, like don't buy it, and don't be ashamed of not buying it. So that was something massive for me, that I went to the
If you
store today
can't
and I was
trust
like,
yourself around it, don't test yourself. That's one of Alana's lines.
yeah, something like that. And there was also something on the top where it was like, and actually I'm going to go out and have a look right now because it's annoying me. But anyway, if anybody else wants to talk for now, and then I'll write it in the comments,
Yes.
because I need to know the specific
Seema,
facts.
fantastic. Thank you so much, Charlotte. That was awesome. You were a fantastic share. Thank you for sharing with us. Seema, how you doing? Anything to share with us today? Because you're next on my screen because I'm on my phone.
Oh yeah. I didn't even know how the call started. I just jumped on, but I've learned so much these last few weeks. Like it's been very interesting, because I feel like coming back to my mother's house took me back to like where I got this. I feel like most of my mindset around my food came from here, you know, and to see, that, and I know where I am or where I've been and where I'm kind of wavering in the middle at this point, you know, and like the things that I kept up with over Pesach and over the 2 weeks that I was here before has been very interesting. And I feel like I told my husband, I feel like I became a closet vegetable eater, because my mom's like, whatever you want, I'll buy. So she bought a ton of vegetables for me, but she didn't necessarily serve a ton of vegetables. So I was constantly going like off, like away from the table to get my vegetables, but like couldn't necessarily bring them back to the table because they weren't being served. So like all of a sudden I'm sitting there with like my, pint of tomatoes or whatever those like little containers of tomatoes are. And I didn't want everyone to be like, oh, where are those tomatoes? Like, it was just like a weird whatever. And like I slipped cucumbers down my sleeve. I'm just kind of sitting at the table eating them. It was a little silly in a way, but it was just funny. Like it was just funny to me, whatever. Anyways, I don't really have any more to share. Like just whatever. It's just very interesting. And like I had a water bottle over Pesach that didn't have a straw, and I didn't realize how much that straw helps. Like, note to self, just not, if there's no straw.
This is my Pesach water bottle, and I got one also first without a straw, and I went straight to Target and put a rainbow on it and got.
So those are the things that I realized for myself, that maybe next time to try to make more salads for but like she did have vegetables, but it wasn't like veggies most, it's like there's a difference. And I'm learning the difference. Like I'm seeing the difference like in real time, like, and then, and the water bottle, that's also a note for myself. And I don't know, just like different things that
Where do you keep your notes from 1 year Pesach? This is a great question for everybody. Like, where do you keep your notes for the following year Pesach? What you said about like salads. So this is my first time being in America in 16 years for Pesach, but I learned from having family by us for Pesach, a very similar situation. And I started keeping notes. I keep notes for myself from Chag to Chag about what I learned, so that I'm always leveled up the next Chag. There's always more to learn.
Right.
Humble humility. There's always more to learn, but you can start ahead next year if you really add it to your Pesach shopping list. Somebody said they put in their Google Drive. You keep your notes on the computer with your Pesach list, but keep your to-be notes somewhere where you can reference them next year Pesach and be like, oh, okay, I know I need. Like, I know I need a water bottle with a straw because I lived that, like, already. And and all
Yeah.
these things. And so you don't ever have to start from scratch with this program. And if you feel like you're getting back on track, it's like you're getting back into a Ferrari. You don't have to be getting back into, you know, a tricycle and learn how to ride your bike again. Like, you guys can get back from a better place when you go back. Oh, what do I really know about myself? What do I really know about myself?
Right. Yeah. And the chocolate, also, I feel like there's chocolate, but this year I kept looking, like my mom was like, I didn't buy a lot. And I was like, so thankful, because then I saw like, okay, this is what's going to be the rest. And I don't have to eat it all now. It's in the closet and one piece here or there. And that was fine, you know? And it was like, so interesting to me, like, not necessarily do I have to say like that same like thing that I've always like, you don't have to say no all the time. It's like later, or like have one bite, or one this or that. And also, you know, how you guys always say, you'll it's not the only time that you're going to see this food, or something to that effect, like, and it's true in my real life, like in my life, like all year long, but on Pesach it's not true, because all of a sudden my mother's making all these recipes and I'm like, oh, I want to bite this, I want to try this, and I realized like I don't have to have a full serving of meat, and I don't have to have a, you know, there's 3 different chickens, like, okay, that chicken's going to be around in another meal, and that, like, really kind of getting into that, and like, okay, she's made those ribs, but I've had them before and they're good. I'll have a little piece, but like she'll make them again another year. She makes them every year. Or like, oh, this is a new recipe. I'll try that, but one bite is enough. Like, you know, it's just very interesting to have to
Tima,
put.
you've been on this journey for a long time, and there are a lot of people, I think, on the call who are in all different stages. When you said, I can just have a bite, that terrifies so many people. And I'm sure it terrified you at one point in your
Yeah.
journey. Where did you feel like you came over that moment where you're like, I can have one bite and it doesn't have to spiral?
It's just that mindful recognizing, am I hungry? Am I not? I don't know where it came in. I don't know. And I have to say, it's not always perfect. Like, it's progress, not perfection. Like, it's, you know, each meal at a time. It's each eating opportunity at a time. And I guess it's just kind of getting it, but then, and then I don't know. I don't know. I have to say, yeah, like Hendy, actually, she's very good at that. And I'm always very impressed. She's my accountability partner, Hendy. I think she's on the call. And I think she's always tells me, she's like, yeah, I had one, but it wasn't for me. So I put it down. I was like, what do you mean it wasn't for you? Like, who puts food down, you know? So I think that plus Alana's one bite to taste, I don't know when it became a thing for me. I think it's still a struggle that I have. It's something that I'm still working on, but literally at these meals when there's so much available, it's like, wow, like there's no possible way that everybody could possibly be eating all this food, you know? I don't know. Lily?
You're on mute, Lily.
Sorry, just over trying it again and again. Hendy said she also is working on it. But it's a thing that you just build trust with yourself when you're from that uncompromising, unconditional love. I can do this. I'm going to mess it up a few times for sure. I'm going to mess it up, but I'm dedicated to learning how to do one bite to taste. I can do one bite to taste. I could trust myself around food. And I think just repeating that mantra to yourself, like, I could trust myself around food, even if I'm not going to be perfect, I'm going to make that progress, is huge. Thank you so much for what a beautiful, like, informative share.
Sorry.
No, it was amazing. It was amazing. Right, everybody? Wasn't that so good? Wasn't that so helpful? Sarah, Hannah, I'm just looking through who's here. Talia, Hendy, who would like to share? Aviva, Debbie, Sarah, we're all here. We have no agenda except to support each other and just show up and say, hey, I deserve to feel on track. I deserve to feel better. Who has something to share? Hendy, that's a thumbs up. Is that you're able to talk? I know very often this is a hard time
I
for
can
you.
talk. I can
Yay.
talk. I just put kids to bed. I hope they stay in bed. Hold on 1 second. I'll put on my video. Okay. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
I'm just so glad to be back on the calls now that my schedule has changed. Yeah, it's been a whirlwind. Pesach is definitely hard. I've been inspired by the people who have been in the chats on WhatsApp saying that they're really focused and they're losing weight, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. And I managed to do that for the first half of Chag, and then we got hit with the second half, and I don't know, maybe it was the 2-day Yom Tov or whatever it was, but there was a lot of food because I have this mindset of like, there has to be enough food or else something terrible is going to happen. So I make tons of food and it's mostly veggies, but you can overeat on veggies. And I also had to make all the traditional cakes and cookies because God forbid we shouldn't use the ingredients that I spent so much money buying for Pesach. So there was a lot of stuff around. But like I said, I pride myself on Pesach for the very minimal use of potatoes that we made in our home. Year after year, there are so many dishes you can make that are vegetable based, and that's what we do. And we have a lot of dips that are all vegetable made and all homemade. And then at the main course, also there's side dishes that are vegetable. I barely had any desserts, so that was like a really big one. And the only part that was hard was also the water, having a different cup, having a different, way of getting to my water. I bought tons of 1-liter bottles, but I don't know. I was also the transition from going from winter to summer. In the winter, I drink only hot drinks, nothing else. I can't drink cold water, not even room temperature water. It's just, I don't like it. It's always warm. And so I always have my 1/2-liter cup and I'm always refilling it with all kinds of flavored teas. And like decaf teas, so they count as my water. And then all of a sudden, I don't want the hot anymore because it got really hot. So just all that transition, and that's what I'm working on now, is getting the water back in. So I am really grateful for the topic of this conversation, because instead of focusing on the negative and being stuck in a rut and, oh, I didn't do this good and I didn't do that good, I am choosing to focus on, wow, it's amazing that we had so many veggies. And I'm so glad. Another thing I did was I bought tons of pre-cut salads in a bag because I knew I wouldn't have time. We were always going out with the kids. I just took a bag of lettuce and other vegetables cut up, and I knew I just had that, a can of tuna, and I was good for my lunch, and then had like some matzah on the side for my carb, and that was good. So I am now going to refocus on more water and just getting back into routine. And it is a huge blessing because you can stay back on track much easier when you're not flying all over the place. So yeah,
Absolutely.
thanks everyone.
And when we started this call, we said two things, the chesed and the gvura, right? We have this chesed, this uncompromising, I am good enough, I can do this. And on the other hand, routine or discipline or alignment or whatever you want to call it, of everything that's great has a focus. And so we're going to focus back on plated. We're going to focus back on the two bunnies of water and veggies, and just exhale all the I could have, I should have, I maybe I did, I fail, I did it, like just big hug, and like, let's move forward with what am I going to do next that's going to feel really good. We have 5 minutes left. So if anybody wants to share, or if people have questions, if you are still coming to the end of this call and you don't know what you want to focus on because you're like, I got to focus on everything, take that deep breath again, exhale it again, and just what's the first thing that you're really going to focus on? Because when you give that discipline, that laser focus onto one thing, everything else, like, it rises all the ships, because you're like, water, water, water. Okay, and of course I'm going to have veggies. Of course I'm going to do something else, but water, 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 or veggies most, veggies most, veggies most. And then you also bring in the water just because you're so focused on feeling good. So does anybody need help? Anybody have a question in the last 4 minutes? Anybody have something last thing that they want to share that I can help with? You can put it in the chat. You can unmute yourself, raise your hand. But the point of this call was just to show up and to be here for yourself. Denise, Debbie, Sarah, Pesha, Charlotte, Talia, Seema, Hendy, Vita, thank you guys so much for being here. What question, what can we do? We have 4 minutes left. Kana, Sarah, anything? No questions. Everybody is in such a good place. Amazing. If you feel like you are in a positive mindset, ready for the week, put a 1 in the chat. If you are in a positive mindset, oh, Hannah, you got something?
No, I don't have anything really of major note. I just know that I need to get back on track.
And that started today with more water, better food choices. The whole thing, like I think it was Charlotte that said the lack of routine, like whatever Pesach was, let's just move on and start again. Today's a different day.
That's right. It is. And thank you guys so much for being here with me on Zoom. I'm on the West Coast, so my day has just started and I'm really inspired to go get my workout in now because I'm just starting my first day after Pesach. And when everyone else gets pizza today, I'm going to order a salad because I have you guys all in my head. And I will see you guys this week. Make sure you guys start sharing in your WhatsApp groups, share in our group, because when you share and you start to celebrate these little wins, we build positive momentum in our hearts. And it's so important because when we leave these things in a vacuum, they really feel like, oh, it wasn't good enough. It wasn't good enough. It wasn't good enough. But when you share them and you celebrate them, you really start to build that positive trust in yourself so that you can get to the next benchmark and the next benchmark and the next milestone. And don't forget to make some notes for next year on what you learned from this Pesach. Have an incredible week. Thank you guys so much for showing up for yourselves. And it's an honor to be here with you.
Happy
Thanks so much,
comments.
Susie.
Bye.